Hey guys, welcome back to another Vanguard video, and yes, you saw the title or thumbnail. I can't believe they did it. I feel like I'm saying this every week, but it happened, something crazy happened. We got plant tokens in Lyrical. First off, it was Shadow Army tokens with Artisaria, and now it's plant tokens. I guess it was a little bit predictable from the Juicy Fruity name from the grade 3, but I still can't believe it. I'm still in disbelief after seeing the reveals. So yeah, I'm getting into a little bit late, but let's get to the Rideline. So first off, we have Juicy Fruity Mandarinda, and man, these names are goofy. With the usual starter, go second, draw 1 text. Then we have the grade 1 Juicy Fruity App Lunlin, and auto when placed by writing from the grade 0, you cost reveal grade 3 with Juicy Fruity from your ride deck, call a free plant token to your rearguard circle. So the plant tokens do get buffed later to 10k, but just having plant tokens early makes your early columns to basically tri-lane your opponent in aggro. So kind of similar to Aurora Rideline, but this isn't generic because you do have to reveal the grade 3 Juicy Fruity in your Rideline, and you need to have, the proper 0, 1, and 2. And the grade 2 is basically the same effect, Juicy Fruity, Nana Banana, and then auto was placed by writing from Juicy Fruity App Lunlin, so the grade 1. Cost reveal grade 3 with Juicy Fruity is card in for your ride deck, call plant token to your rearguard circle, so costless Rideline, which is really nice, and you're making a free plant token every turn, so doing at least 2 or tri-laning every turn is like pretty easy, just to rush down your opponent. Alright, so now for the grade 3 Juicy Fruity Chure Lina, kind of looks like a cheesecake theme. I think it's supposed to be like a fruity cake theme, but I'm not really sure, honestly. They're certainly cooking something with Lyrical, and this is before we even get DZ set 2 Lyrical reveals or names or anything. Anyways, continuous Vanguard circle, all your plant tokens get +5, so very good. This will be active on both players' turn, assuming. And then for each card with the same card name as is unit in your soul, you get power +5k. Doesn't actually note if this is during opponent's turn, but it does have the bracket, so I assume it does. So every time you're persona writing, you're making your plant tokens even bigger, which is kind of like crest scaling like Estashion, so it is more so like Estashion combined with Claudine and Aurora, but it's in Lyrical. And then auto Vanguard circle, once per turn, you cost soul +1, call up to 2 plant tokens to rearguard circle. Then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 greater, if you have 4 more rearguards, it gets triple drive until end of turn. So kind of like Claudine, but kind of an easier effect, honestly. And then it's a 4 attack deck because of the third skill, auto Vanguard circle. Once per turn, with unit attacks, counter +1, call a plant token to rearguard circle, and this turn it gets the continuous rearguard circle, so the red text skill of this unit gets all of the trigger effects that your Vanguard gets, and auto when it's returned to hand from rearguard circle, draw a card. So when you would bounce it off Yuika, you draw 1, and because it gets all the trigger effects, it also copies the over trigger. So it's kind of like Roroa and Claudine combined in Lyrical, which is kind of goofy, but like actually a little bit interesting, at least for a Lyrical deck. Lyrical is just getting everything at this point, and they have so many good generics, and they got another good one in this reveal as well, that this deck will honestly be playable because Lyrical is just that good. I don't think it'll be good, but it'll be playable because you have so many cards to work with. And once you flip OT, give 100 mil to Van, this like token on your rear with the red text will gain that power until end of turn, which is pretty ridiculous. So kind of sucks it can't do 4 text. Was honestly expecting it to like call 2 plant tokens when your opponent is like grade 3 greater, but yeah, it's just 1 for now. I mean, technically I'm sure there's ways in Lyrical, I believe, to cheese out another attack. But, you're calling a plant token on any normal unit, so I'm pretty sure you're stuck to 4, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not a Lyrical chef. But yeah, interesting Juicy Fruity Rideline just to get plant tokens and rush. Your early game in Lyrical was already really good, but like you could throw in, Frenchette is also easy bounce. It's just a lot of the Lyrical generics are, very expensive. You have Frenchette, Yuika, the Ace units. There's just so many good utility cards you can play in this deck. So I'm sure a lot of people will have fun with this, and of course triple drive can't be bad. Let me know what you think of this Rideline. The triple rare support that we got for this is also very good. It's technically generic. It could work in Artisaria. You're probably not playing it in though, but we'll talk about it anyways. So first off, we have the rare Abundant Rosie Renella. So auto rearguard circle at the end of battle, this unit boosted a token unit. You cost soul +1, return the boosted unit to hand. So technically you don't have to get like your expensive generics like Frenchette and Yuika. You can just boost with this, bounce the token, and then of course you'll get that draw 1 effect from the red text. And then we have Spectacular Performance, Nabity. So auto when discarded from hand during your turn, you put this card to soul. So like the soul and generics that we got for a lot of older decks before in the other nations. And then auto rearguard circle at the end of the battle. This unit boosted a plant token unit, any token unit. You cost put this to soul and countercharge 1. So this works for Artisaria. This works for any future Lyrical deck, maybe in DZ set 2 or whatever. DZ Lyrical set 2 that could get a token unit free countercharge. You did already technically have a countercharger before that did shove to soul, but this is a little bit easier and it's a booster. And this is also free soul if you have to ditch it for ride deck or any cost during your turn. So honestly, a pretty nice generic to get as a double rare in the set. Could be really, really good once we get more Lyrical reveals, but for now, still a pretty solid card. Artisaria doesn't really need the countercharge as much, but this is an option if the deck does become very counterblast heavy, but still pretty interesting, good generic all around. And then we have the actual double rare support for Artisaria, which is Spreading Chorus Illuminous. So auto when it's placed on rearguard circle, you look at the top 7, choose up to 1 sound system card, discard it, and shuffle your deck. So immediate, just deck thin. You do technically set it up because Artisaria can play it from drop, you just don't get the draw. So basically setting up your sound systems for future turns in case, you needed extra or, somehow didn't draw them. Usually you're playing 7, it's usually like a 4-2 ratio, sometimes 4-3, depends. That might change with Artisaria in the future, but usually that's what the deck plays. And then the second skill is when it's retired from rearguard circle. If you have a grade 3 Greater Vanguard with Artisaria, you call a Shadow Army token to your back row rearguard circle. You do have to place it on rearguard circle. It's not restricted from hand, but Artisaria doesn't call off effects or other things either. So honestly, pretty decent card. I don't think it's really what Artisaria needed, but easy free deck thinning just on place from hand, and then also free Shadow Army token in a circle is really nice. I think you could probably cut Pressure if you're a little bit scared for energy, or maybe I think Lufer is already basically cut at this point for Lumenal, but you can probably find space for it. It's just kind of an card for a double rare. It's not a triple, so kind of expected. But the more interesting card we got is Touching Moisture Dinty. Yes, that is the translation for the card. Auto when it's placed on rearguard circle with a token unit, you cost Counterblast 1 or Soul Blast 2 to draw 1 card. If your Vanguard's grade 3 greater, it gets plus 5k until end of turn, so again, not restricted by your opponent's grade. And then auto token unit is placed on the rearguard circle that this unit is on. By the ability of your Vanguard, return this unit to hand. So, in the new deck, Juicy Fruity, as well as Artisaria, when it's called over, it'll just go bounced back to your hand. And then when you call over a token, if you have a full board of token units, you just get to, basically use Counterblast or Soul to draw 1. So honestly, really, really good generic, I think, in my opinion. If anything from DZ, Lyrical set 2 gets a token unit, these cards will spike up in value. They're just very easy to use, very good. I do think the Persona Shield Cyclers and, Pressure and whatnot are still very good cards. Of course, Fantrite Yuika will just always be good for Lyrical Monasterio. But yeah, for a token unit deck specifically, which is basically just Juicy Fruit and Artisaria, this card is pretty good. I'm not too sure if you have space for this in Artisaria because I do think the Persona Shield Cycler is just a lot easier to use. But Soul Blast 2 to draw 1 is of course always good. It just has to be on a rearguard circle with a token unit, so it's a little bit more restrictive. Then you have an even crazier name. You have Blowball Message Poroin. I don't know what's up with these names. You have auto rearguard circle / hand. At the beginning of your guard step of your grade 3 greater Vanguard with Juicy Fruity, its card name was attacked. You cost, put this card into soul, choose different units being attacked, and it gets plus 10k until end of battle. So it's technically a bigger shield than... this card could have also just read gain power plus 5 and shield plus 5. But, they decided to word it that way. So no extra power, but, it can sack itself off essentially. Or not sack itself off, put it to soul, not retire, to get the 10k shield instead of, just intercepting with it and having to be a 5k shield. But, it is an early game card that can just kind of sit there at least. But, you can just play other random ass generics in Lyrical and just get away with it. Alright, so that is basically it for Lyrical. We have some random Iron Knot cards that are actually pretty decent for the deck, but I don't think it's really making it more playable. I think the Festival 2025 Zedlans / Cody Blaze card was a lot better, but these cards do help a little bit. So I think the bigger upgrade is definitely the triple rare. So Dance Princess of Rumbling Stone, Crashna. So auto when it's placed on rearguard circle, you perform one of the following. So the first one is cost Counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 set order, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Or cost Soul Blast 1, search your deck or drop for up to 1 set order, reveal it. If you have 2 or more set orders with the same name in your order zone, add it to hand. You shuffle your deck, shuffle it. Or if you search your deck, shuffle it. So basically you're searching the Zedlans, the Smith cards, and you're setting up those set orders, and then if you're ready of 2, you don't have to Counterblast, you can Soul Blast 1, and then reveal it, add it to hand. Otherwise, you're basically just Soul Blasting 1 to reveal it and do nothing with it. And then auto rearguard circle, when this unit attacks or boosts, if your order zone has a set order for this battle, it gets plus 2k. Then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 greater, you choose set order for the same as order zone. If you chose 2 cards, it gets plus 5. So pretty nice, 13k booster, and that'll be 17, so it'll make pretty easy numbers. Sorry, not 17, 15k. So 15 to your 13, 28. So your usual Divine Z booster that is making very easy magic numbers. Does help for Zedlans because it does restand, and then you'll get the drive -1. So you'll be able to do 4 drives with the festival support. But yeah, not exactly what the deck needed, but it is a big consistency boost. So I think people who really like this deck are going to definitely be playing this. It does kind of suck. You have to wait until set 10 for it. But I mean, this card is really good. The festival card is a bigger upgrade though. If you are a fan of Zedlans, definitely pick that up from Festival 2025. But yeah, honestly, really good consistency card because you didn't really have a good or easy way to search your set orders from before, besides using like generics pretty much. So the next card is basically a combine rusher for the deck. You have Wrought Iron Trooper Dragon, Indomitable Axe Dragon. So auto drop when you're great through greater Vanguard with Zedlans, and its card name is chosen by ability of your browsing Wrought Iron Workshop, so the Smith cards. In your order zone, you cost energy +3, call this card to rear guard circle. Pretty straightforward, you're always going to use the skill in Zedlans to give him power, so free grade 2 beater pretty much, and then auto rear guard circle during your turn if it's chosen by the ability of your set order, because again, you're going to have multiple setup. You choose one of your grade 3 or greater Vanguards with Zedlans, and it gets +5k, so another pump. So he'll basically be, I believe on persona turns 25, because he gets pumped by 5. I have to check the Iron Workshop cards again. But yeah, basically a pretty solid cards for the deck. I think the grade 1 is definitely the biggest one, and then the grade 2 is basically just an extra beater from the deck, kind of saving you cards that you have to commit because it's just a reoccurring attacker. And then the last card is Wrought Iron Knight Jaffal. Auto rearguard circle during your turn when it's chosen by the ability of your smithy in your order zone. If your Vanguard has Zedlans till end of your opponent's turn, it can intercept in the back row. Doesn't gain any power. It's not a 13k booster or even 10k, which is strange. So you can just throw in Shenri or whatever else and it's probably fine. But yeah, so that basically does it for the live stream today. Kind of got to this very late. I do think the Juicy Fruity is interesting. There aren't really any easy ways to kind of spam plant tokens. I almost said splam plant tokens. But yeah, interesting that it does support Artisaria, and if we get any future token support for Lyrical, these cards will 100% pop off and just like spike in the market. Crazy stuff. I do think the Zedlans stuff is also interesting just in terms of consistency boost. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I think about these new reveals. I think that triple rare was definitely the bigger highlight. So at least the triple rare quality for DZ-BT10 outside of the quote unquote meta stuff that we've gotten like Drowsy and then next week Leo does look interesting. So hopefully the deck will bring more exciting cards like this that give support to kind of like older decks that are, you're kind of questioning where it is. You know, we still don't have like Blazing Warcry and like the Youthquake cards, so I wonder when in the world we'll get those, because Festival like comes out tomorrow and we know we haven't gotten box toppers or anything for that, so I don't know where those cards are. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.